Welcome back to Bargirl Baddies. Today's story isn't about bar scams or walking street hustles. It's about something more complicated and more common than most expats want to admit. It's about family expectations, cultural misunderstandings, and what happens when love collides with financial obligations you never saw coming. This is the story of James Mitchell, 29 years old, from Perth, Australia. James met a Thai woman online, fell hard, moved to Isan to be with her, and slowly discovered that marrying into a Thai family meant inheriting responsibilities he never agreed to. But here's the twist. James didn't run. He didn't abandon ship when the demands got absurd. Instead, he did something most expats never consider. He drew a line. And the fallout from that decision changed everything. Before we dive in, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. If you've ever dealt with family financial pressure, Thai or otherwise, hit that subscribe button because you're going to see yourself in this story. Maybe not the exact details, but the feeling. That slow creeping realization that you've signed up for something you never fully understood. Let's hear from James. The first need to tell you what my life looked like before Thailand, because otherwise, none of this makes sense. I was 26 years old, living in Perth, working as a site supervisor for a mining company in the Pilbara. If you're not Australian, that probably means nothing to you. But basically, it meant I worked 2 weeks straight at an isolated mine site in the middle of nowhere, then got 1 week off back in the city. FIFO they call it. Fly in, fly out. The money was good, really good. I was pulling in about 9 grand a month after tax, which for a bloke my age with no university degree was pretty bloody excellent. But the work was brutal. You live in these accommodation blocks they call dongas, tiny rooms, shared bathrooms. The mine site is red dust and machinery noise and heat that makes you feel like you're being cooked alive even at 6 in the morning. You work 12-hour shifts, sometimes longer if there's an issue. You eat in a mess hall with 100 other blokes who all talk about the same 3 things: footy, cars, and how much they're going to drink when they get back to Perth. I didn't mind it at first. The money was the goal. I was saving for a house deposit, trying to build something. But after a couple years it starts wearing on you. You realise you're missing everything. Your mates are getting married, and you're at a mine site. Your sister has a baby, and you meet your niece 3 weeks late because you were on rotation. You want to date someone, but how do you explain that you're gone 2/3 of the month living in a donga with no privacy and limited phone signal? I had a girlfriend when I first started the job. Her name was Emma. We'd been together since I was 23. She was patient for a while, but by the time I was 25, she'd had enough. Said she couldn't plan a life with someone who was never around. Said she felt like she was dating a ghost. She left me for a guy who worked in an office in the city, regular hours, home every night. I didn't blame her. I was angry, but I didn't blame her. After that, I was alone. Properly alone. I'd come back to Perth on my week off and go to my apartment in Bargirl, which is this working-class suburb north of the city. The place was always stuffy because I'd been gone 2 weeks. I'd open all the windows and try to air it out, and then I'd sit there scrolling my phone trying to figure out what to do with myself. My mates were busy. Everyone had partners or kids or weekend plans that didn't include me anymore. I felt left behind, like I'd chosen money over life, and now I was paying for it in a different currency. The loneliness got worse at the mine site. There's something about being surrounded by people all day, but having no real connection with any of them. You make small talk, you joke around. But it's surface level. Everyone's just counting down until they can leave. At night, I'd lie in my donga scrolling my phone because there was nothing else to do. That's when I started spending time on dating apps. Tinder was useless. Perth's not a huge city, and the women on there could tell I was a FIFO worker from my profile. Most didn't bother matching. The ones who did would ghost after a few messages when they realised I was away most of the time. I tried Bumble, same story. I wasn't bitter about it. I understood. Who wants to date someone they barely see? Then one of the blokes at work, this older guy named Davo, mentioned he'd met his girlfriend on some Asian dating site, Thai Friendly or something like that. He showed me pictures. Pretty girl. Said she was from Udon Thani. Said they video called every day, and she didn't care that he was FIFO because she was used to Thai men who worked away in Bangkok or on fishing boats. He was planning to visit her in a few months. I thought about it for a week. Part of me felt weird about it, like I was buying into some stereotype. But another part of me thought, why not? What did I have to lose? I was lonely. I wanted connection. And if Thai women were more understanding about the work situation, then maybe it was worth a shot. I downloaded Thai Friendly, made a profile, put up a few photos, nothing fancy, just me in normal clothes, wrote a basic bio, Australian, work in mining, looking to meet someone genuine. Within an hour, I had 20 messages. Most were clearly bar girls or women looking for money. You could tell from the profiles. Professional photos. English that was too polished. Messages that immediately asked what I did for work or if I'd been to Thailand before. But one message stood out. It was from a woman named Noi. Her profile showed simple photos, selfies in what looked like a small town. No makeup, no sexy poses. Just a normal-looking Thai woman with kind eyes and a shy smile. Her English was broken but sweet. She said hello, said she thought I looked like a good man, asked if I liked Thai food. We started chatting. She was 31. From Ubon Ratchathani, which she explained was in Isan, the northeast region. She worked at a 7-Eleven. She had a 5-year-old daughter named Ploy from a previous relationship. The father was a Thai man who'd left when she got pregnant. She lived with her parents in a small village outside the city. Her life sounded simple. Honest. Not glamorous, but not tragic either. Just normal. We talked every day for 3 months. Text messages, mostly because the time difference made calls tricky. But when we did manage to video call, she'd show me around. Her village, the rice fields, the small wooden house on stilts where she lived with her parents and daughter. She'd introduce me to Ploy, who was shy but curious. She'd show me the family's small garden, the chickens they kept, the motorbike she used to get to work. It all felt real, not like she was performing for me or trying to impress me. She'd call from her break at 7-Eleven, still in her uniform. She'd complain about rude customers or her sore feet from standing all day. She'd talk about her worries for Ploy's education, how she wanted her daughter to have opportunities she never had. She asked about my work, about Australia, about my family. She seemed genuinely curious, not transactional. After about 2 months of talking, she mentioned money for the first time. She was apologetic about it. Said Ploy needed new school supplies, and she was short that month. Asked if I could help with 3,000 baht. That's like 130 Australian dollars. I sent it without thinking twice. She sent me a photo of Ploy with her new backpack and books. The kid looked so happy. Noi thanked me over and over, said I was a good man. That Ploy kept asking about the Farang uncle who helped her. A few weeks later, she asked for 5,000 baht. Her motorbike needed repairs, and she couldn't get to work without it. Again, I sent it. Then another time her mum needed medicine. 4,000 baht. Each time she was embarrassed to ask. Each time she sent photos or receipts as proof. Each time I felt good about helping. It wasn't huge money to me. I was making 9 grand a month and living for free at the mine site half the time. A few $100 here and there to help someone I cared about felt right, felt meaningful. By month 4 I was in love. Or at least I thought I was. Maybe it was loneliness disguised as love. Maybe it was the fantasy of having someone who needed me. But it felt real. I'd never connected with someone like this. We talked about everything. Our childhoods, our fears, what we wanted from life. She'd tell me about growing up poor in Isan, about her parents working rice fields and barely making enough to survive, about getting pregnant young and the father abandoning her, about the shame she felt in her village as a single mother. I told her about Emma leaving, about feeling stuck in a loop of work and loneliness, about wanting more from life than just money and mining. We understood each other. Or I thought we did. The cultural gap didn't feel like a gap. It felt like a bridge, like we were teaching each other how to see the world differently. In November 2021, I told her I wanted to visit. She got nervous, said she wasn't sure. Said maybe I'd be disappointed when I met her in person. Maybe her village was too poor, too rural. Maybe I wouldn't like it. I told her I didn't care about any of that. I just wanted to meet her. Meet Ploy, see her life. She agreed. I booked 2 weeks off in December, flew from Perth to Bangkok, then caught a domestic flight to Ubon Ratchathani. The whole trip I was nervous. What if we didn't click in person? What if I'd built this up in my head and the reality was awkward and disappointing? What if she took one look at me and realised she'd made a mistake? She picked me up at the airport on her motorbike. I remember seeing her standing there in the arrivals area in jeans and a t-shirt holding a little sign with my name on it. She looked exactly like her photos, maybe prettier. She smiled when she saw me, but she was shy. We hugged awkwardly. She smelled like jasmine and something sweet I couldn't place. The ride to her village took about 40 minutes. I sat on the back of her bike with my backpack pressed between us. The roads were rough. The countryside was flat and green, rice paddies everywhere, buffalo wandering near the road, small houses scattered around. The air was hot and thick, different from Perth heat, wetter. I was sweating through my shirt, but I didn't care. I felt awake, alert, like I'd stepped into a completely different world. Her village was small, maybe 30 houses. Most were wooden structures on stilts, some concrete, chickens and dogs everywhere, kids playing in the dirt. Everyone stared at me. The farang on the back of Noi's bike. I waved. Some waved back. Others just stared. Her house was at the end of a narrow dirt road. Wooden. Old but clean. Her parents were waiting outside. Her mum was small and round, with a warm smile. Her dad was thin and weathered from years of farm work. They didn't speak English, Noi translated. They said welcome. They said I was handsome. They laughed when I tried to weigh properly and got it wrong. They ushered me inside. The house was basic. Concrete floor, minimal furniture, a small kitchen area, a Buddhist shrine in the corner with incense burning. It was hot inside, no air conditioning, just fans. But it felt lived in. Comfortable. Ploy was hiding behind her grandmother. Noi coaxed her out. The kid looked at me with huge, curious eyes. I gave her a stuffed kangaroo I'd brought from Australia. She took it carefully, then ran off giggling. That first night, they fed me endlessly. Sticky rice, grilled chicken, som tam that was so spicy I thought I was going to die. They laughed at me sweating and chugging water. Noi's mum kept piling more food on my plate. No one spoke English except Noi, but it didn't matter. They were kind. Welcoming. I felt like I'd known them for years. By the third day, Ploy was calling me Papa James. It happened naturally. She'd run up to me and grab my hand and say, Papa James, come see this. Papa James, look at the chicken. Papa James, play with me. It hit me harder than I expected. I'd never thought about being a father, never planned for it. But this little girl with her bright smile and her curiosity made it feel possible, made it feel like something I wanted. Noi and I spent every day together. She'd take me around on her bike, to the local temple, to the market in town, to rice fields where her dad worked, to a waterfall an hour away where we swam, and she taught me basic Thai phrases. Everything felt easy, natural, like we'd been doing this forever. Her parents did a small ceremony one evening. Monks came to the house. There was chanting and blessings. Noi explained it was a traditional welcome for someone important to the family, someone who might become family. I didn't fully understand, but I sat there sweating in the heat, listening to the rhythmic chanting, feeling like I was part of something ancient and meaningful. I extended my trip. 2 weeks became 3, then almost 4. I was burning through all my annual leave, but I didn't care. The mine site felt like a different planet, a place I used to live. This was real. This was life. Sitting on a plastic stool eating noodles with Noi, playing with Ploy in the dirt yard, helping her dad fix a fence, even though I had no idea what I was doing, watching the sunset over the rice fields with a warm beer in my hand. On my last night there, Noi and I sat on the porch after everyone went to bed. She asked if I was happy. I told her I was. She asked if I'd come back. I told her I would. Then she asked the real question. She asked if I thought this could work long term, if I could see a future with her, with Ploy, with her family. I didn't hesitate. I said yes. I meant it. I told her I wanted to figure out how to make this permanent. Marriage.visas. Whatever it took, she cried. Happy tears. She said she'd been scared to hope. Scared I'd go back to Australia and forget about her. I told her that wasn't going to happen. We kissed under the stars with the sound of crickets and distant dogs, and I felt like I'd finally found what I'd been looking for. Not just a partner, a family, a purpose, a life that felt bigger than mining rotations and lonely apartments. I flew back to Perth in January 2020. The mine site felt even more unbearable now. I was counting days until I could return to Thailand, Noi and I talked every day. Video calls, messages. She'd show me ploy doing homework. Her mum cooking. Her dad coming home from the fields covered in mud. I missed it all desperately. A month after I got back, Noi brought up marriage. She was casual about it. Said if we were serious about a future together, getting married would make visa stuff easier eventually. I agreed immediately. I wanted to marry her. I wanted to bring her and Ploy to Australia, or figure out how to live in Thailand long term. Whatever worked. We started planning a wedding for my next trip, April 2022. But then Noi mentioned something I'd heard about but never really understood. Sin sod. The bride price. She explained it gently. Said it was custom in Thailand. A way of showing respect to the bride's family. Compensation for raising their daughter. Proof that the husband could provide. She said her parents were expecting it. They talked to other families in the village whose daughters married foreigners. The going rate seemed to be around 300,000 baht. I did the math. 300,000 baht was about 13,000 Australian dollars. I went to forums, asked other expats. The responses were all over the place. Some guys said they paid 50,000 baht, others paid $1 million. It depended on the woman's education, her status, whether she'd been married before, whether she had kids. Noi had a child. She worked a regular job. 300,000 seemed high, but not insane according to the internet. I told her I'd do it. She was relieved. Then she mentioned the wedding costs. Another 150,000 baht for the ceremony. Food for the whole village. Monks, traditional outfits, flowers, everything. I was in for 450,000 baht total. About 20,000 Australian dollars. It was a massive chunk of my savings. The biggest amount of money I'd ever spent on anything. But I told myself this was a one-time thing. An investment in our future. In our family. I wired the money in March. Noi sent updates. Photos of preparations. The village was excited. Everyone was talking about the Farang wedding. I felt good about it. Felt like I was doing something important. Something real. The wedding in April was everything I'd imagined and more. I flew back to Ubon. The whole village showed up. There were monks chanting blessings. Traditional Thai music. Noi looked stunning in her silk dress. I wore this awkward Thai outfit that was too tight and everyone laughed, but it was good-natured. Warm. Her parents cried during the ceremony. Her mum hugged me so hard I thought she'd crack my ribs. Her dad shook my hand with both of his, and even though we couldn't speak the same language, I could see the gratitude in his eyes. We had a feast that lasted hours. Grilled pork, curries, mountains of sticky rice. Cheap whiskey that burned. Everyone dancing. Ploy running around in her flower girl dress, showing everyone her Papa James was married to her mum now. I felt like I'd joined something. Like I belonged somewhere for the first time in years. After the wedding, Noi's mum pulled me aside. There was a translator there, one of the village English teachers. She said the family was so grateful for everything I'd done. That I was a good man, a good husband. That they would always take care of me, always welcome me. Then she mentioned the house, said she and the dad were getting old. The wooden house they lived in was falling apart. Termites, leaking roof. Maybe someday when I could help them build something better. Something concrete, something safe. Not now, just someday. When it was possible, I said sure. I was riding high on wedding emotions, feeling generous, feeling like I'd do anything for these people who'd welcomed me so completely. It was vague. Someday, when I could. I didn't think much about it. I should have. I flew back to Perth a week after the wedding and immediately started the visa process to bring Noi and Ploy to Australia. Partner visa. The paperwork was insane. Police checks, health examinations, proof of relationship, bank statements, character references, and expensive. The application fee alone was over 7 grand. Then there were migration agent fees, document translation costs, medical appointments. I was hemorrhaging money, but I told myself it was worth it. Once they were in Australia, we could build a proper life together. Get stable, start fresh. The processing time was estimated at 12 to 18 months, maybe longer. I settled in for the wait. Went back to my FIFO rotation. 2 weeks at the mine site. 1 week in Perth. The routine felt even more hollow now. I had a wife and stepdaughter on the other side of the world, and I was stuck in a donga in the Pilbara watching the days crawl by. Noi and I talked every day. Video calls when the Mindsight internet cooperated, messages constantly. She'd show me ploy doing her homework. The kid was learning to write English sentences. Papa James is in Australia. Papa James will come back soon. It made my chest hurt looking at those careful letters. Then the requests started coming more frequently. At first, I didn't notice the pattern. Noi would message saying Ploy needed new school shoes, 5,000 baht. I sent it. A week later, her mum needed to see a doctor for high blood pressure. 8,000 baht. Sent. Her dad's motorbike broke down and he needed it to get to the fields. 12,000 baht for repairs. Sent. Each request came with an apology. Sorry to ask, sorry to bother you. You are so good to us. Family just needs small help. I never questioned it. These were my family now. This is what family does. They help each other. I was making good money. They were struggling in a village where most people lived on a few thousand baht a month. Of course I'd help. But by September 2022, 4 months after the wedding, I started feeling a low-grade anxiety every time my phone buzzed with a line notification. I'd check and there'd be Noi with another request. Not huge amounts, usually between 5 and 15,000 baht. But constant. Every week. Sometimes twice a week. Brother number 1 needed money to buy fertilizer. Brother number 2's girlfriend was pregnant and they needed baby supplies, grandma's medication, Proy's school trip. The water pump at the house broke. The roof was leaking worse now and needed temporary repairs until they could afford to rebuild. I started keeping a spreadsheet without telling Noi, just to track what I was sending. By October, I'd sent another 200,000 baht since the wedding. That was on top of the 450,000 for sinsod and wedding costs. I'd spent nearly 30,000 Australian dollars in less than a year. My savings account that I'd built up over 3 years of FIFO work was getting hammered. I mentioned it once to Davo at the mine site, the older bloke who told me about Thai dating sites in the first place. He laughed, not mean, just knowing. He said welcome to having a Thai family mate. Said his girlfriend's family was the same. Always something. Always someone who needed help. He said, you just have to set limits or they'll bleed you dry. He sent them 5,000 baht a month. Fixed amount. That's it. Anything else they asked for, he said no. I thought about doing that, but I didn't know how to start the conversation. Noi would message with a request and I'd see the photos. Her mum looking old and tired. Her dad's weathered hands holding a broken tool, Ploy's school notice about unpaid fees. How do you say no to that? How do you tell your wife that her family's problems aren't your responsibility when you're the one with money and they're the one struggling? October 2022. 6 months after the wedding, Noi called on video. Serious tone. She said her parents needed to talk to me, wanted to do a proper call. My stomach dropped. I knew what was coming. I'd been expecting it since the wedding day conversation about the house. We scheduled the call for that evening Perth time, which was afternoon in Ubon. Noi set up her phone on the table. Her mum and dad sat across from her. They looked nervous. Formal. Her dad wore a clean shirt, which he never did around the house. They'd brought the village English teacher again to help translate. Through a combination of Noi translating and the teacher helping, they explained the situation. The house was getting dangerous. The termites had gotten worse. Parts of the floor were soft. The roof leaked in 3 places now. Every time it rained, they had to put buckets down. Her dad had tried to patch it, but the wood was rotten. They needed a new house. A proper concrete house that would last. They'd gotten quotes from local builders. 600,000 baht. That's what it would cost to tear down the old wooden structure and build a small 2-bedroom concrete house. Nothing fancy, basic, but safe. Permanent. They'd asked Noi's brothers to contribute, but both brothers had no money. One was a labourer making day wages. The other worked at a factory in Ubon and sent most of his money to his girlfriend's family. They had no one else to ask. Noi's dad looked at the camera and spoke slowly. The teacher translated. He said James was family now, a son. They'd never ask if they weren't desperate. But they were getting old. They needed a safe place. They were sorry to ask for so much. 600,000 baht. I did the math in my head. About 35,000 Australian dollars. On top of everything I'd already spent. I sat in my Perth apartment, staring at the screen, feeling like the walls were closing in. Noi was crying. Her mum was crying. Her dad looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. I said I needed time to think about it. Needed to check my finances. I'd get back to them. Noi's mum's face crumpled. She said something in Thai Noi didn't translate. The call ended. 5 minutes later, Noi called back. Just her. She was in her bedroom, eyes red. She said she was so embarrassed, so ashamed. Said her parents didn't understand Western culture. Didn't understand that you can't just ask for huge amounts of money. But also said they really did need it. The house really was falling apart. She'd grown up in that house. Ploy had been born in that house. It was their only security, and it was literally rotting under them. She said, maybe I could do half. 300,000. They'd find the rest somehow. Maybe borrow from neighbours. Maybe her brothers could contribute something small. She was begging. I could hear it in her voice. That desperation. That fear that I'd say no and her parents would lose their home and it would be her fault for marrying a Farang who didn't care. I told her I'd think about it. I got off the call. Sat in silence. My brain was spinning. Part of me was angry. This felt like a trap. Like I'd been courted and married and now the real bills were coming due. Like they'd been planning this from the start. But another part of me felt guilty. These were good people. Simple people. They'd welcomed me, treated me like a son. They really did need help. The house really was falling apart. Was I really going to say no and let my wife's parents live in a dangerous structure when I had the means to help? I checked my savings. I had about 55,000 Australian dollars left. If I gave them 35,000 for the house, I'd be down to 20,000. That was my safety net. My emergency fund. My fuck you money if work went bad. That was years of brutal FIFO work saved up. Did I really want to hand it over for a concrete house in rural Thailand that I'd probably visit twice a year? But they were family. That's what kept echoing in my head. Family helps family. I'd married into this. I'd made a commitment not just to Noi but to her whole family. That's how it worked in Thai culture. You don't just marry the person, you marry everyone. And maybe that was beautiful. Maybe that was more connected and more meaningful than the individualistic Western way where everyone's responsible for themselves and family members let each other struggle because independence is the highest value. I called Noi the next day. Told her I'd send 200,000 baht. Not the full amount but enough to get started. They'd have to figure out the rest. She was so grateful she was sobbing. Said I was the best husband, the best man. Said her parents would never forget this. Said they'd make merit for me at the temple. Said she loved me so much. I wired the money that week. The relief I felt was immediate and huge. I'd made a decision. I'd committed. I was helping. But underneath the relief was this sick feeling I couldn't shake. This sense that I'd just made a massive mistake. But I couldn't figure out exactly why. Construction started within days. Noi sent photos. The old wooden house being torn down. The foundation being poured. Her parents standing in the rubble looking happy. Ploy playing in the dirt pile. It felt good seeing those photos. Felt like I'd done something important. Something lasting. The house was finished by December 2022. I visited for Christmas. 2 weeks off from work. The new house looked solid. Simple but clean. Concrete walls. Tile roof. 2 small bedrooms. A proper bathroom. Her parents were so grateful they kept touching my arm and saying thank you in broken English. The whole village came to see it. The Farang son-in-law's house. I felt proud. Felt like I'd actually improved their lives in a real way. Christmas was beautiful. We did a small celebration. Thai-Australian fusion. Grilled pork and pavlova. Ploy got presents. Her parents gave me a hand-carved wooden elephant they'd commissioned from a local craftsman. I gave them a framed photo of the 3 of us from the wedding. Everyone cried. It was perfect. I flew back to Perth in January 2023, feeling good. Feeling like we'd turned a corner. The big expenses were done. Sin sod paid. Wedding paid. House built. Now we just had to wait for the visa, and then Noi and Ploy would come to Australia, and we'd start our real life together. I could handle the small monthly requests, 5,000 here, 10,000 there. That was manageable. The major financial obligations were finished. I was wrong. Within 2 weeks of me getting back to Perth, the requests started up again. Brother number 1 needed 15,000 baht. He wanted to start a small business selling somtam from a cart. Just needed money for the cart and initial supplies. Noi said it was a good investment. If her brother could make money, he wouldn't need to ask us for help anymore. I sent it. A week later, brother number 2 crashed his motorbike, needed hospital treatment. 20,000 baht, I sent it. Then, grandma needed medication for diabetes. 8,000 baht. Then Ploy's school announced a special program for gifted students. Extra classes. Better materials. 6,000 baht enrollment fee. Then the new house needed curtains and proper furniture. Her parents had been sleeping on mats on the floor. Wouldn't I want them to have beds? 15,000 baht. Every time I sent money, I felt more resentful. Not at first. The first few times I still felt generous. Helpful. But by March, I was starting to dread the line notifications. I started opening them with my jaw clenched, wondering what it would be this time. I said no for the first time in April 2023. Noi's brother number 1, the one with the somtam cart, asked for another 10,000 baht. Said business was slow. Needed money for better ingredients to attract customers. I told Noi no. I'd already helped him start the business. He needed to make it work himself. Noi went quiet. For 2 days, she barely responded to my messages. When I asked what was wrong, she said she was disappointed. Said in Thai culture, when you have money, you share with family. That it's shameful to let family members struggle when you could help. That my refusal made her look bad. Made her brothers think she'd married a cheap Farang. Made her feel like I didn't respect her family. We had our first real argument. I tried explaining that I wasn't rich, that I worked hard for my money, that I had bills too. Rent in Perth, car payments, the visa application costs. I was trying to save money, so when she and Ploy arrived, we'd have a cushion. We'd need bond money for a bigger place, furniture. Ploy would need school supplies and clothes for Australian weather. I couldn't just keep sending money to Thailand forever. Noi said I was being selfish. Said Western people don't understand family duty. Said Thai people take care of each other. Said maybe I'd married the wrong person if I didn't want to be part of a real family. That hurt. It hurt because part of me wondered if she was right. Maybe I was being selfish. Maybe this was just how Thai families worked, and I was being a typical Farang. Individualistic. Stingy. Unable to understand collectivist values. But another part of me was angry. I'd spent over 40,000 Australian dollars on her family in 18 months. How much was enough? Where was the line? We patched things up after a few days, but the tension remained. Every request after that felt loaded. If I said yes, I resented it. If I said no, I felt guilty and Noi would get distant and hurt. The visa got approved in March 2023. Finally, after a year of waiting, Noi and Ploy could come to Australia. I was relieved. I thought distance from her family would ease the pressure. They'd be in Perth with me. We'd build our own household, our own financial situation. The constant requests would slow down because Noi would see how expensive Australia was. She'd understand why I couldn't just keep bleeding money to Thailand. They arrived in April. I picked them up from the airport. Ploy was so excited she couldn't stop talking. Noi looked nervous, overwhelmed. Perth is nothing like Ubon. It's spread out, car dependent. The people are different, more reserved, less warm. I'd rented a 2-bedroom apartment in Bargirl. Nothing fancy but decent. Noi hated it immediately, though she tried not to show it. She said it was nice, but I could tell. It was cold to her. Sterile. She missed her family. Missed the village. Missed knowing everyone and having her mum nearby and eating food that actually tasted right. Ploy adjusted better. Kids are resilient. She started school, made friends fast. Her English improved rapidly. But Noi struggled. She didn't know anyone. Didn't drive. Found the weather cold even though it was Perth autumn, which is mild. She'd walk to the local shops and come back looking lost. She'd video call her mum every day and cry. I thought it would get better. Just adjustment period. Give it time. But 3 months in, and the requests from Thailand hadn't slowed at all. They came through line messages. Her mum asking for money because the rice harvest was bad. Her dad needing money for fertilizer. Her brothers needing money for this and that. Medicine, repairs, bills. Always something. And now Noi would show me her phone with tears in her eyes. Her mum crying on video saying they missed her, saying things were hard, saying they needed help. How could I say no when Noi was already depressed and homesick, and now I was going to make it worse by refusing to help her struggling parents? But I started saying no anyway. More often, more firmly. We needed to save money in Australia. Rent was $2,300 a month. Groceries were expensive. Ploy needed things, school uniforms, excursions. We were building a life here. I couldn't keep funding a life in Thailand too. Noi accused me of abandoning her family now that I'd gotten what I wanted. Said I'd used her, married her to get a Thai wife, then brought her to Australia and cut off her family. Said I'd changed. Said the James who visited Ubon would never act like this. Maybe she was right. Maybe I had changed. Or maybe I'd finally woken up to what was actually happening. Either way, we were fighting constantly. About money, about family, about expectations, about what we'd actually signed up for when we got married. It all came to a head in May 2023. 1 year after the wedding, Noi's mum called crying. Said her dad was sick, needed to go to hospital in Ubon. The local clinic couldn't help. Needed 40,000 baht for treatment. I asked for hospital paperwork, documentation, proof. Noi was offended. Said I didn't trust her family. I said correct. I didn't. Not anymore. Not with money. She lost it. Started screaming at me in Thai and broken English. Called me cheap. Called me a liar. Said I'd promised to take care of her family. I yelled back. Said I'd already given them more than most people see in 5 years. Said I wasn't their retirement plan. Said they needed to figure out their own lives. Ploy started crying in her bedroom. That stopped us both cold. Noi locked herself in the bathroom. I sat on the couch with my head in my hands, wondering how the fuck we'd gotten here. 3 days of cold silence. Then Noi came to me calmer. Said she'd talked to a Thai friend here in Perth, a woman who'd been in Australia for 10 years. The friend had explained to her that Australian husbands don't work like Thai husbands, that you can't expect unlimited money, that you have to build your own life in the new country, and that means sometimes your family back home has to manage without you. Noi admitted her parents didn't understand boundaries. They saw me as an ATM because that's what they'd learned from other villagers whose daughters married Farangs. Everyone in the village knew someone whose foreign husband sent money every month. It was expected. It was normal. They genuinely believed this was how it worked. We had the first truly honest conversation we'd ever had about money. I showed her my spreadsheet. Showed her how much I'd sent. Over 800,000 baht in less than 2 years. She was shocked. She hadn't realised the total. Each individual request seemed small to her, but she'd never added it all up. I explained I'd already done more than my part. Way more. Going forward, we could send money for genuine emergencies only. And only with proof. Medical bills. Actual documentation, not just requests. Noi cried. Said her parents would hate her. Would think she'd failed as a daughter. Said she'd brought shame on them by marrying a Farang who wasn't generous. I told her she had a choice. Them or me, us or them. If she wanted this marriage to work, we had to be a team. We had to build our life here. We couldn't keep supporting an entire family in Thailand while we were trying to survive in one of the most expensive cities in Australia. She chose me, but it cost her everything.